Okay, so for this video we're going to be going over how to lay out the first floor plan, or first floor for your final project. And if you look at drawing A-03, that is the entry level floor plan, hence level 1 of your building. And we're going to be laying this out actually using the rectangle command. So I'm going to click on my rectangle command, and hopefully you guys went through all the tutorials like you were supposed to, because that'll make life a lot easier for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down into various shapes. So I'm going to lay out the dining room, the kitchen area, that kind of block. And on the plans I can see that rectangle is going to be 41 feet 3 inches by 20 feet. So I'm going to go 41 feet 3 inches, comma, 20 feet. And let's see here. So we should get our rectangle. And I just want to make sure that my dimensions are correct. So good. I got 41 feet 3 inches and 20 feet. That's a good start. We've got everything measured the way it's supposed to be. So next I'm going to take a look at, I'm going to lay out the bedrooms. Okay, so we're going to lay out the bedroom rectangle, and I can see that the bedroom rectangle's got overall dimensions of 16 feet 9 inches, and it's 26 feet in length. So if I'm going to lay out my rectangle here, so I've got 16 feet 9 inches, comma, 26 feet. And of course the rectangle got put in wrong, so let's try this again. So I've got 26 feet, comma, 16 9 inches. Ta-da. Okay, so now I'm going to add my little laundry area section. So that little section is my overall dimensions. It is 10 feet by 12 feet. So from this point, let's see if I can get this one right. 12 feet, comma, 10 feet. Yes, and let's just to make sure that I got those dimensions right. It looks right. Okay, 12, 10. Okay, it is. Okay, so next I'm going to lay out the garage. So I've got, the garage is actually kind of overhangs a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line 1 foot out here. Almost like my little cheater guide. And from here, I know that the dimensions are 22 feet by 22 feet. Okay, so the first floor plan, the first floor is taking shape. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, because if I don't, I guarantee that my computer will crash. So you might want to take a moment to do the same. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to pull some construction lines so we can lay out our walls. So the way that we do that is we take our measuring tape tool, and I'm going to offset this. The directions for the final project stated that the outside walls, unless noted otherwise, are 6 inches. So we're going to offset all of these walls 6 inches. So what I'm doing here is basically I'm just putting in some construction lines, because I'm going to come back and I'm going to add some rectangles actually to use for my walls. Oh, I should probably zoom in on that one. Let's see. And I think that's it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to kind of rotate this so I can see better. And I'm going to basically take some rectangles here to lay out the walls. So I'm going to connect my points. There's more than one right way to do something. This is just over experience from past classes we found to be the best way to lay this out. So I'm going to lay out the rectangles, and then I'm going to go forward, and I'm going to be deleting all the lines that are overlapping. So let's see here. So let's see, what haven't I got? Looks like I stopped it a little bit short there. So just take the time here to lay this out. Okay, so rather than having you guys listen to me drone on when I was clicking away with my mouse, I just kind of paused it there. So what I've done is I've gone and I've made rectangle outlines where all of my walls are going to be, my exterior walls. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to delete any points where we have intersections. So I'm going to grab my erase tool and I'm going to go forward, and I'm kind of also deleting my construction lines as I go. But I want this to be one solid shape, because what we're going to do is we're going to pull up our wall so that the wall is the proper height. So let's see. So any place that a line doesn't belong, I'm going to get rid of it, including my lines that I've used for construction lines. So I'm going to take a moment and do this. You guys do the same, and I'm going to meet you back here in a little bit. Okay, so I went ahead and I laid out all of my exterior walls. So before I raise up all the walls, of course, what I'm going to want to do is start laying out my interior walls. So I'm going to go about doing that next. And I'm going to start with basically a line of walls here where I actually have a 6-inch wall. This basically extends here and it's 6 inches. So let me see here. So I've got this wall that I'm basically drawing construction lines for is actually a 6-inch wall. And if we look on the plans, we can see that the length of this wall is 6 feet 7 3/4 inches. So I'm going to draw my construction line, and that's from the inside of the wall, so 6 feet 7 and 0.75 inches. Okay, if you're wondering where I got that, if you look on the drawing A-03, there is a closet that actually lists that dimension. On the far left, we've got that big dining room table, and just to the right of that, there's a closet that says shelving, and there's a dimension there of 6 feet 7 3/4 inches. Okay, so I can go ahead and start laying out these walls here. I can see also I have got from this point up, my line is 14 feet 4.75 inches. Okay, so I can see that's going to be the end of this wall. So the cool thing with this video is if you're struggling to maybe find some of the dimensions, hopefully walking through it with me will definitely, I'm hoping at least, will make it easier for you. So I'm basically just connecting my walls here. Okay, so I'm going to basically be moving here around, and I'm just going to be adding walls exactly as they are dimensioned in this drawing. So the big thing is, once we start entering the inside of this room, all of our dimensions from the wall are a center to center dimension, meaning from the center of the wall to center of the wall. So it becomes a little bit of a pain in the butt where we have to actually offset some of these lines. So for example, I've got to offset this 3 inches because this was a 6-inch wall, and then I'm going to be using that to lay out my stairs here. So I've got 3 feet 8 inches and 4 feet 10.5 inches. So I'm pulling all of these dimensions straight off of the plans. So I've got 2 feet 4.5 inches. Okay, and I can see that the inside of my stair, from the inside of the wall to the center of the stair wall, 3 feet 5.25 inches. Alright, so let's check that dimension because that seems a little weird. 3 feet, 5.5. Okay. So right away I can see I just measured this wall because something didn't look right, and of course, sure enough, it's not the right dimension. So I'm going to pull this dimension one more time and see if I can get this right here. So I've got, this wall should be 6 feet 7.75 inches. So it actually extends like so. So I'm going to just go ahead and delete this wall. And of course, it deleted everything. So let's see if I can do this instead. All right. Okay, so I'm just fixing this wall where I had a little boo-boo. Maybe you guys didn't have the same problem. Okay. Okay, so now everything in theory should be correct here when I'm laying out the stair. You can kind of see exactly where the stair is going to go. So I'm going to start piecing this together here. So this is my inside center of the wall dimension, so I need to go out. I'm assuming my interior wall is 4 inches based off of the information that was given to me in the problem statement. So let's see here. So this, once again, is actually a little bit longer. So let's see here. I am going to make this wall a little bit longer. As you can see, this is definitely an iterative process in terms of doing your final project. I'd like to say that you're going to get it right off the bat, but it's definitely something that's a work in progress. Okay, so I'm laying out the dimensions here for my line, or for my wall. So let's see here. I've got, this is also, so I'm going from my center line and I'm going 2 inches out if you haven't been following what I've been doing here. So let's see. So I'm going to take my rectangles and start boxing stuff out. Okay, one thing to note here, typically a stub wall is anywhere, so basically this little stub where we've got our door is going to be going is more than likely going to be 4 inches, 2 2x4s stacked on top of each other. Okay, because if you'll note, we've got a door opening here, 4 feet wide, and the door is 6 feet 8 inches tall. So let's see here. Yeah. Okay, so roughly, so this will work out good. So let's see here. We've got, so I'm going to build my little stub wall here. So if you assumed this little stub, I'll show you what I mean. So this little stub right here, if you've gone ahead and assumed that it is 4 inches or 2 inches, that's fine. I don't really get too picky about that. The big thing is having you guys have a decent understanding of how to work this program. So let's see here. I have got another little stub wall here, another wall here, and let's make this one, this little stub is only going to be 2 inches out. And this will be 4 inches. Okay, so next up I'm going to be getting rid of the lines that I don't need. So I'm going to take a moment and do that, and then I'm going to come back to you guys here. Okay, so looking at this, I'm just going to check my dimensions quick. Call me paranoid. It's real important that you get the stairs right. So looking at this, my dimension was 3'8", that's right. Okay, from here to here was supposed to be 4 feet 10.5, that's right. And from here to here is supposed to be 2 feet 4.5, and let's check from this wall. So I should probably, let's see, from there it was 3 feet 5.25 inches. That's right to the center of my wall. And we've got our total distance from the inside of the outside wall to the edge of my stair is 6 feet 7.75 inches. Okay, so it looks like we have everything correct. So note, there's a couple different ways that we can do the doors, and actually, you know, there's probably actually an easier way to do that. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do it this way. So we're gonna actually box out and pretend like the doors aren't there. Reason I say that is that way when we go back later and when we cut out the doors, everything will have a door header above it. Okay, so basically we're boxing it out as if the doors aren't even there. Okay, so I'm going to move around, and I'm going to do the exact same thing to all the other spots on the first floor. And I don't know that it's necessarily crucial for me to literally walk you through how to find the dimensions because they're listed on the drawing. So if you have any issues interpreting the drawings, by all means call me or email me. I'd be happy to lay them out for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the rest of this first floor here, and then what I'm going to do is show you guys how to raise up the walls on the first floor so you can start adding doors and all that fun stuff. Okay, so I've went through and I've completed the first floor level, the generic floor plan, and a couple things to point out as I was mentioning. I did not notch out any doors. I initially started doing that in the video, and it's going to make more sense actually to have the walls go straight up, and then we're going to punch the doors out later using the push-pull command. So anyway, this is our final layout. Hopefully you get your first floor plan to look like this. There were some dimensions that I had to assume. Once you get into the kitchen area, things get sketchy, so I just assumed this little stub wall was 3 feet. Basically, whenever there aren't dimensions that are given to you, this closet, for example, I saw that the door had an overhang of, it's a 2 foot 6 inch door, so I assumed this wall was 2 feet 6 inches, and I just split this literally in half to build this closet. Like I said, the kitchen area, I assumed this was a 3 foot stub wall, and the dimensions for everything else were pretty clear, so you should be able to lay this out. The big thing that I just can't express how important it is making sure that you lay out the stair properly, because that's going to be going up through both floors, so it's real important that we get that right. Okay, so once we have our first floor plan, our first floor laid out, what we're going to do is we're going to actually raise up the walls so we have actual walls to our house. So I have saved this because God knows we need to save that. Before we move on though, we're going to add a layer here. So if I go into, let's see, where is it here? Toolbars. So under View, Toolbars, I'm going to add my Layers toolbar. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a layer called First Floor. Real important that we have everything on layers, because if we don't, it's going to be real confusing once we stack everything. So what we're going to do, we're going to highlight everything and we're going to put it on the first floor. So just like AutoCAD, we want to make sure that we have everything on layers. Okay, so before we actually raise the walls, what we're going to be doing is we're going to, since the second floor literally is obviously very similar to the first floor, so what we're going to be doing, we're going to copy this, and you just do Control-C just like you would in any Windows program. Control-V, and we're going to put what we're going to be mutating into our second floor over here. So I'm going to create a new layer that is second floor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight, everything that I want to be the second floor. I'm going to put it on the second floor layer. For whatever reason, it didn't take. Okay, so everything I have over here is on the second floor. Everything over here is on the first floor. So now I can actually go forward and I can raise the walls on my first floor. So if you look at drawing A-01, you will see that on the right here, so we've got our right, it's called right elevation, that's the view, and we're looking at this, we can see that between the base of the floor up to the floor truss, it's 8 feet. Well, in the directions it says we're not modeling the floor truss, so we're actually going to have a wall height of 9 feet 4 3/4 inches. So I'm going to raise my walls 9 feet 4.75 inches and press enter. So now I actually have walls. It's starting to look like a real first floor. Okay, so the next video what I'm going to show you is how to tweak what we've already done for our first floor and turn that into our second level.